today is the day where we make my Toyota Tacoma on 1 tons and 40s and make it a 4x4 again.
Brought to you in part by Alpine Toyota.
So here's what we got. The ring and pinion is from Nitro Gear and axle. We chose to go with a 5:13 ratio, and we are setting it up with this air locker from TRE. We also got all the bearings and seal kit from Nitro Gear, so in theory, this should be pretty smooth. I've never set up an air locker before, so this is going to be a learning experience for me. My buddy Trevor is on his way here, so he's gonna actually give me a hand because he has set up an air locker in his blue 4Runner. Alright, so to make this easier, I've parked the Tacoma up on these little ramps here, and now I'm going to pull the main tie rod out just so that we have easy access in and out for this diff. See that new hole we just put in the top of the diff housing right there? We're about to tap that out, and that is where the airline fitting is gonna go for the locker. So far, we're getting stupid lucky on this thing. Like our first attempt, pretty much just basing it off of what the factory shims were, throwing it back in there. We are spot on for backlash on the dial indicator. It's supposed to be 6 to 10 and we're about 8.
That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, so we're already on to checking pattern, which is awesome. Okay, so here's what's going on. We got the ring gear all set up. Pattern looks great. The backlash is perfect. Yeah, I mean, that only took most of the morning and afternoon. Now we're on to actually plumbing this TRE air locker to work. So this little copper line here is what feeds air into the locker and actuates it. That'll slow feed up and into this hole that we drilled earlier. So we're gonna put the fittings in the top, apply air, and plumb it up to the compressor. All right, so this guy here, this is the fitting that goes in that hole on the diff. But first, we're gonna give it some pipe dope so it actually seals.
I grabbed the wrong tube of pipe dope.
Is it dry?
It's a little dry. It doesn't want to come out.
But first, we're going to be putting Teflon tape on it, then putting it in. So, there. Oh, totally meant to do that. Alright, so the copper line's now fished to this little guy up here. So we're going to take that hose that came with the TRE kit and run that from there up and over to the solenoid right there. Alright, so me and Trevor got the front gears installed and the locker is now functional. Check it out. On the ceiling here is our aux beam switch panel. So if we turn on the compressor, it's currently pressurized so we didn't hear it turn on, but if we hit the locker, it's on. We're now locked. So that's pretty sweet. And if we turn it off, it lets out the pressure and we're no longer locked. Now we can throw the axle shafts in, drive shaft, and this thing will officially be a 4x4 again. Alright, so now the Tacoma's got both its axle shafts up front. Both of the hubs are in the lock position. And right now the locker is open. So if I go in, hit the key, turn on the compressor, engage the front locker, in theory I won't be able to do that anymore. And lock. Yes. I guess that means the locker's working. And now, it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. A front drive shaft. And this, I think, is going to be the last part that I am bolting on this truck for the entirety of this phase of the build. And there you have it. The Tacoma has a working 4x4 now. Finally. Alright, so now that the front end is all set up, the locker's installed, we've got axle shafts and everything, how about we go give the 4x4 and lockers a test? So that was full lock. I did engage the air locker before I came across that section because that's kind of half the point of coming out here is I want to know if it all works. And I mean, clearly it does. It didn't skip a beat through any of that. So as you guys just saw, Trevor went through in his 4Runner and I just gave him the keys to the Tacoma to give it a shot, feel the difference. I love this truck. I bet she's gonna love it too.
Thing is huge.
I know. I said, when I'm driving this thing, I'm so used to the pickup, I know where all my tires are at any point in time. This thing, I know nothing of where anything is at. I gotta spend some time behind the wheel and actually learn it. But what do you think?
It's awesome, man.
You feel almost nothing over any of that.
No.
Completely different ball game than the little trucks, but
Yeah.
very much the same at the same time though, just bigger.
I think the biggest thing I noticed is turning radius. A little bit more limited than I got a shorter wheelbase than you.
I was
in my
gonna say
4Runner
it's both wheelbase and I think you've got more steering angle. Because I rub on the links because I did absolute minimum offset possible. Anyways, guys, that about wraps up this week's episode of Dirt Garage, and I hope you enjoyed it. As I've said a million times, it feels like I absolutely love this truck. It's unreal. If you guys can do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button, and hey, make sure you subscribe. I upload weekly Toyota, building, wheeling, and off-roading content. Anyways, I'll catch you next week. Peace.